Well, now to the latest on the rail dispute. Canada's two biggest railways are expecting their workers back on the job tomorrow morning. The Federal Labour Board imposed binding arbitration between the companies and unionized employees yesterday. But there are still issues yet to be resolved. The railway companies warn it could take several weeks for full services to resume. And the Teamsters Union says it plans to appeal the decision, saying the ruling sets a dangerous precedent and diminishes the rights of Canadian workers. CBC's Albert Delatala has been tracking this story for us. So, Albert, what's the latest on the situation?
Well, Linda, the one impact that many people felt immediately once that work stoppage happened was commuters and certain transit lines that had to grind to a halt when that happened. So I did reach out to various agencies there in the Toronto area, Vancouver area, and in parts of Vancouver as well that were affected. And so in terms of the Toronto area, the regional agency Metrolinx, they say that they're currently working with their rail partners to confirm the levels of service on the affected lines. They say they'll have a further update this evening. Via rail, they replied about their Northern Ontario route that runs through Sudbury, but they would only say that they would go back in service once they're allowed back on the tracks by CPKC. Now, in the Montreal area, EXO, they say that they've taken note of that binding arbitration decision, but the time frame, they say, for commuter trains there, that is still unknown. They say, though, that shuttle buses will be ready for tomorrow if they're needed. So they as well are at the mercy of CPKC for when they'll really be able to get back on the tracks. This all comes following that binding arbitration decision. The Teamsters Union saying they would comply with that ruling, but they also say that they will challenge the move in court. That decision it came 2 days after the federal labor minister he asked the CIRB to begin that process. The Teamsters, they had challenged the order, saying it violated workers' rights, but the CIRB saying yesterday that they in fact had no authority to say that the directive was invalid if it was, and that they had no discretion or ability to refuse it. So because of that, all of those staff who had been locked out, they will have to go back on the job starting tomorrow. 9,300 staff affected by this, including engineers and other rail workers, yard workers as well. All parties have said they will comply with that decision. And Linda, that binding arbitration set to begin on Thursday.
And Albert, part of the reason that the government sought binding arbitration here is because of the problem with moving things across this big country on those rails and the concern for Canada's supply chain if this were to go on. So what do we know about where things stand right now on that front?
Right, so you have some major worries there, and CN has said that they're trying to ramp up their service as quickly as they can to alleviate some of that backlog. It's believed that it could actually take, though, the companies a few weeks to get fully back online, to get back to that normal level of service, because of just they had actually kind of ramped down their service in the 2 weeks approaching that lockout. Here's more from business professor Marvin Ryder yesterday.
Keep in mind that starting last Monday, both CN and CP started to throttle back on receipt of items. Basically, they said if we can't get it delivered by Wednesday midnight, we don't want to take responsibility for it. Imagine you had a train car load of fruits and vegetables on a side rail, or a train car load of ice cream on a side rail. Oh my gosh, that's going to be our responsibility. So they just stopped taking those shipments. So we're about a 5-day, 6-day backlog. It'll take a good week at least to clear this up.
We had heard from many farmers over the past few days who were concerned about what an extended work stoppage could mean. Many of them, especially in the prairies, relying on the rail to get their harvest out. So This news now, and we've heard from at least one farmer who was expressing some relief after this binding arbitration decision was made yesterday. So some relief there, and we'll be tracking, of course, in the coming days as those service levels return to normal. Linda.
Okay, thanks for this, Albert.
You're welcome.